Hello, everyone. My name is Doreen Bogdan-Martin, and I am the Director of the Telecommunications Development Bureau at the International Telecommunications Union, which is the UN specialized agency for digital technologies based in Geneva, Switzerland. My work focuses on harnessing the immense power of digital technologies to improve the lives of billions of people around the world who still lack access to the things that you and I take for granted. Things like food security, access to basic healthcare and education, the opportunity to secure decent employment, and the chance to build a better life for the next generation. AI and machine learning-based systems offer enormous potential to accelerate progress towards the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. But as the buzz builds around the power and the promise of AI, I want to ensure that digital inclusion is always at the center of our conversations. I believe that gender equality is a fundamental pillar of progress towards the SDGs. And that's why I co-founded the Equals Global Partnership for Gender Equality in the Digital Age, along with UN Women, the United Nations University, the International Trade Center, and the GSMA. Equals has become a central part of ITU's development work, and I'm delighted to say that we now have more than 100 partners from around the world working to bridge the digital gender divide in 3 core areas: women's access to technology, women's digital skills development, and women's tech leadership. When we look towards AI and what it might help us achieve, we need to remind ourselves that this is a technology still in its infancy. We can still profoundly shape the kind of AI future that we want, because we are at an inflection point, and that means we have the opportunity to reflect deeply on the frameworks and the models that we use and those we create. Let's always remember that technology is not an end in itself, but a tool to improve our world. It can produce positive or negative outcomes, and often both, depending upon how it is used. And it affects different parts of the population unequally. AI has enormous potential to transform so many of the areas covered by the 17 SDGs, from healthcare to education, environmental management, working conditions, access to financial services, and so much more. There's no doubt that AI is also highly disruptive. It's a highly disruptive technology which will eliminate certain types of jobs, which has a profound ethical and human rights implication, and which risks perpetuating the very barriers to equality that we want to eradicate. This is why governments and business leaders need to start working together on a digital development agenda that prioritizes equitable access to and application of AI technologies, and which mitigates some of the foreseeable downsides of AI adoption. There is a huge and urgent need for multi-stakeholder dialogue around AI in the public policy sphere. And this time, we need to ensure that this dialogue is fully and broadly inclusive, so that we don't simply replicate the same inequalities in the digital world that currently limit the opportunities of billions of people in the physical world. We know, for instance, that right now there is a chronic lack of diversity in most tech teams, and I'm reminded of the Melinda Gates remark that the number of women in AI is so small, it's unbelievable. And we don't even know how many AI researchers and developers are people of color, or non-binary, or living with a disability. The point is that we are leaving the development of our future to an extremely narrow demographic, and this cannot be a good way forward. Another issue of great concern is the gender bias that is inherent in the AI data that we are using to make the choices for us. Right now, there are huge gender data gaps in areas from healthcare and town planning to agriculture, parliament, financial services, peace negotiations, and humanitarian responses. Put simply, AI will only be as good as the teams that design and develop it and the data on which it draws. Technology cannot progress and move away from gender bias without diversity in creative and leadership roles. And that is why events like this 100 Brilliant Women AI Ethics Summit and the Women in AI Ethics Initiative are such an important part of global efforts to change the picture and ensure tomorrow's digital world is built on equitable and ethical foundations. So I want to thank you so much for inviting me to be with you today and be part of this great event. I look forward to continuing to collaborate with you to reach our goal of generation equality in the digital space. Thank you.